Well, howdy. It's starting to feel like spring, even though we're all having to isolate right now with the COVID-19 thing going on. And anyway, since it was nice and warm today, I got out and did some work down in the shop. And so this video is going to show a little project that I worked on. It's a little different than some of the other projects that I've done. Um, this is a not a guitar lesson, so to speak. I'm going to get back to doing some guitar lessons now that I'm retired. I'm going to have a little bit more time to do that. So hopefully I'll get the channel back up and running and get a little more regular posts out. Anyway, if you like this, then I'll try and do some more. Put some comments down below. Click the bell, hit subscribe, wherever all that stuff is on the screen. I don't even know anymore. It's been so long. So anyway, hope you enjoy, and I'll see you on the flip side. The goaties are enjoying the springtime weather too. Oh, baby. There's Baby and Lily. They're enjoying themselves. All right. Well, I'm not a fan of taking instruments and turning them into other things usually, but I have a guitar here that is just past the point of ever being fixed. A little Yamaha guitar here, and it's got a cracked neck here that is just, it's just not worth fixing for the guitar that it is. So I'm going to turn this into some shelves, and first thing I'm going to do is router this out with my Dremel here and try to get a nice cut around to take the top out, and then fashion some shelves to go in there to hang on a wall in a room that needs a little something to make it look good. So that's what we're going to get started with. Alright, I've got my PPE here. My wife wants me to keep both of my eyes functional, so I'll be putting that on. Anyway, what I've done here is I set up my Dremel with a routing attachment, and if you can see it there, that's a cut-off bit, or a plunge cut-off bit, and I don't think that's actually what it's called, but usually use them for drywall. I think it's going to work fine for this application right here, so we'll see if we can get it to go. And I've got my depth set here to run around the edge. We'll see whether it works or not. Going to grab a clamp and clamp this down underneath the table just so it's not moving on me. Maybe 2 clamps. Alright, let's see what happens. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of voiceover while the machine runs, because that buzzing from the machine is very, very annoying to listen to. I found that the bit that I was using worked pretty good. It had a little bit of trouble when I would hit up against some of the braces and things, and but overall it did okay. As we go along, I hit a few other little bitty snags. Alright, well, it's working mostly, but I've got a little problem here. that, well, we'll figure something out there to cover that up, but I may have to go to marking on my router wants to pull back when I'm hitting here, and I should have figured that out, so I'm going to flip around and go to the other side here. And I may have to mark and reset for that spot. Try to make that a little cleaner. Right now I've got it set so that I can try to miss the purfling on the inside, but we'll see. I may have to do something different there. This table surface I'm working on is some extensions that I put on a table saw that I rehabbed, and happy accidents, I left some spaces for my clamps to go down through the table. Alright, I'm going to reset and get these insets and up in here with a little different setup. Alright, I'm going to try to scribe a line here to follow. And that inside curve. Reset this with a different attachment. See if I can follow that line. As I was doing this part, I was watching that line and just trying to stay a little bit proud so that I could come back and do some sanding on that later to get it back to the line. Right, got a little bit proud, but I think I can do that. I can sand that down to the line and make it look pretty good. Let's scribe this over here. Scribe that side as well. I think I can get that side. What I'm using to scribe that line with is just an old set of metal calipers that I had sitting around, and they locked down so I could keep the same size space from the outside to the inside where the line was going. Flip her around. Alright. Oops. Almost forgot the important part. I hit a couple of snags on this cut, one being a brace, and then there's another one that you'll see. Now, going to experiment a little bit with going around the sound hole and the pick guard. I have kind of an idea what I want, but I don't know if it's going to work or not. We'll see. My idea was that I was going to cut a circle around the tone hole and around the pick guard so that the front of the guitar with the tone hole and everything is or the sound hole is what makes it look like a guitar, and so I kind of wanted to try to keep that part, and it did okay. I made one little error that well, it's not really an error, but I could have done something different down underneath the pick guard and left it attached to the side there. Would have made it just a little more stable, but it didn't hurt anything in the end. All right. Well, that has got this out of there. That has got this cut out, some mud dauber's nests in there, and quite a bit of junk. We'll vacuum that out here in a second. And it's the appearance of my ancient shop vac, and held together with duct tape. I did some more sweeping later, but I didn't tape it. Alright, I think I'll reset my Dremel tool and put a sanding disc on it and start cleaning up these edges. See if I can get that to look better. Alright, we'll see. I may decide to do this a little differently, but we'll try this first. Got a little sanding wheel on there. Let's see what happens. Oh, got to plug it in first. All right. I really didn't plan on this video being so heavy with the Dremel. I had some other ideas when I had this project in my head for the tools I would use, but as I got into it, I found that the Dremel actually, with a few different attachments, was probably the best way to go. While I'm shaping around the curves here, it's actually pretty easy with a big sanding disc on there to kind of feather it down. I have had projects in the past where I've just ruined things with a Dremel because it just got away from me. So you definitely have to try to keep your control as much as you can, and sometimes, you know, two hands is definitely better than one. If you can go slow, that's better. Alright, I've got quite a bit to take off over there and over here, so I'm going to switch it to a different implement. Alright, I'm going to try and get some of this with a cut-off wheel. See what happens. Technically, that's probably not the right cut-off wheel. I probably should have just taken the little saw that I have and sawed those off, but it worked fine. It's really, I think, a metal cutting wheel, and 'cause I had just used it on a project with a lawnmower a few days before, so I had it set up, and as long as long as you don't torque it sideways, you can get away with it. It did all right for that. All right, switch back to the other thing here. All right. Now I'm just going around doing a little more shaping, trying to get a uniform look and a nice flow without any sharp edges. I had some trouble when I was cutting out around the neck up there with the bit and the cage I was using. I ended up just lifting it up and using it as if the cage wasn't on it. I think the cage helped in most of the places I was using it, but not up there next to the neck. Alright, well, that's shaped better. Dump out some of the stuff there. A little bit of shape to do there still. There. Yeah, just more annoying buzzing sounds in this spot. Alright, have a issue right here I'm going to try and take care of. I'm going to have to put in a little patch there because I goofed it. I'm using a little razor saw there, and I know I'm not using it right. I'm just trying to get it into the camera so that you can see a little bit, even though it's too small. That's where the Dremel bit had cut in too close to the outside edge of the guitar, and so I'm cutting a square notch out, just a 90-degree notch there, so that I can make a patch and glue it in there, and then I'll come back. I find it's easier to glue things that are flat, so I'm going to do a little bit of reshaping on that and get it as flat as I can on all the sides with the patch. Alright. Let's take a piece of scrap here out of the top and we'll cut a little piece to go in there. Okay. Yeah, it was going pretty good. The piece was fitting in, but wasn't exactly lining up the way I had intended it, so I was hitting it with a little square file and had to spend a little bit of time on it, but eventually if you spend enough time and move slow enough, you get it done. Alright, so we're going to try to glue this in here with a little super glue. All right, do a little bit of fill work on that, and I think it'll be all right. All right, let's see if we can cut this. I'm sure most everybody knows that bottle I picked up and squirted on there is an accelerator. It causes the super glue to harden up really quickly, and I don't know what I did. I hated super glue before I found accelerator for it. It is like the best thing ever. Just coming back here and smoothing that off. It actually did a good job on the patch. There we go. That's not going to look too bad. Okay, my plan here is to take, I've got some leftover walnut slabs here, or slivers, and I'm going to try to fashion a couple of shelves in there to angle like so. Okay, I changed my mind and decided to go with the shelf in the opposite direction so that when it hangs it'll be a little more lifelike with the neck up instead of drooping down and put stuff on it. So got that. Now we'll get one more shelf right down in here, I think. A couple of things I did off camera. I had to do just a little bit of Dremel work to hollow out on the bottom of the shelves for the braces, and then I also had to do just a little bit of sander work with the belt sander on the edges so that they would sit against the side. Alright, I'm gonna put a little bit of walnut stain on this. This is walnut, but it's mostly sapwood, and it's got the burn marks aren't going to be able to be seen from the standpoint of where it's going to be hanging, so I'm not going to worry about that. And I'm just going to put this on there and get it to go dark. This actually worked really well, dealing with the color of the sapwood to even out the color of the whole piece. It's not something I would do on a fine piece of furniture, but for this, of course, if it's going to be a good piece of furniture, you'd just use better wood. But this was scraps, so it turned out good in the end. All right, installing a couple of little pieces here, one on either side, glued in, just to make things a little bit easier for that shelf. This shelf over here is stained and ready to go. I got a little bit of stain on this one. Getting it ready to go. There we go. All right, let that dry. I went back and did a little bit of smoothing with some hand sanding, just to really make the edges a little bit more even and take out any little imperfections that I had. I chose, and you'll see in a minute, but to use just wood glue to hold the shelves in and to hold the braces, the little pieces underneath the top shelf. I did that instead of the super glue because I wanted to have some time if I made a mistake or needed to make a change. I did all of this in one day, so even those little pieces that I had put on the side to hold the shelf, if I needed to, I could pop those off as it wouldn't be completely cured, and try to clean up my glue mess just a little bit there as I'm going. And I didn't worry about putting the clamps too hard to it. because I just need it to hold things in place. The shape of the outside box of the guitars is really what's holding the shelves. The glue just holds them in place. Alright, let's pull some clamps and take a look. And as they say, you can never have too many clamps. Off to my left there on the end of my table I've got a clamp rack, which is really nice. Rookie mistake here as I'm holding it up here. I didn't readjust the camera so you can't see what's going on there. I'll have to do better next time. Alright, and here is the finished product. There with all of my little doodads and stuff. A little something for the bathroom here. And anyway, I think it turned out pretty good.